Hello, this is a tutorial on how to make a cardboard and paper mache zebra shark, since a lot of you have asked for a longer tutorial with a bit more details. So first of all, you need to get yourself some cardboard. I would recommend a rectangle piece, and then you can just start to sketch out with your pencil how you want the shark to look like. And as you can see, I start with the head and work my way down to the fins. And I usually spend a lot of time perfecting the fins so they look just how I want them to. When I've done that, I just start sketching the rest of the body, and it's important to make your lines go a bit towards the center of the paper because sharks get thinner the closer you get to the tail. And as you can see, I also made some space for me to put on the tail when I get to that later. After that, you just cut out your cardboard, and when you've done that, you get another piece to start working on how you see the shark from the side. Here I'm just marking where the fins begin and end so I know exactly where to draw. And while I'm drawing, I keep on checking that it matches with the fins on the side of the shark. I also got this little model of a zebra shark that you can see in my hand, which makes it 10 times easier to see the little details. While drawing the fins, it's a good idea to keep on checking if it matches so you don't have to start over, which is what I'm doing all the time. When it's finally time to glue this piece on, you should probably draw a line in the center so you know exactly where to glue it on. And for this, I just use hot glue and a glue gun. Here you can see me working on the tail, and I'm sorry for feeling this part very badly, but I still hope you can see it a bit. And this was what the space from before was for, so I now can glue the tail on. You'll also need to make a little cardboard piece for the lower part of the tail that you can stick on, which is what I'm doing right now. And now we can turn it around and make the bottom of the shark. And for that, you'll need a thin cardboard piece that has the length of the shark. And I'm also marking like I did before so I know more precisely where to draw. A thing that I think some people might miss could be the little fin on the bottom because of all the other sharks that I've made where you haven't been able to see it, but it's important to remember it. And now you just have to take your glue gun and glue on this piece that you've just made. And this is how the shark looks so far. But we're not quite finished with the skeleton yet, so the next thing you need to do is cut out some small cardboard pieces and glue it on so it's easier to keep the right shape. For some of the pieces like this one, you need to cut it out so it looks a bit like a trapezium. When you move on to the next, it's a good idea to make some space between each of them. By doing that, it's also easier to fill it in with toilet paper when we get to that in a bit. And now you just need to repeat this process till you're done. After doing this, you need to get some more cardboard to make some details on the tail fin, because the tail fin on the zebra shark is thicker on the top than the bottom. And this is the shark from the first side, and boom, that's the other side. And you can also see it from the bottom. Now we're getting to the point where we have to fill it, and this is a very important step because if you don't do it, you'll be able to see the cardboard through the paper mache and the paint when it's all finished, so it's a really good idea to remember it. When you've done it on the first side, you simply just need to do it on the other side as well. And now we're all done with that, so the next thing we need to do is tape the whole shark with masking tape so we can stick the paper mache on easily afterwards. Even though it probably doesn't seem very necessary, it's still a good idea to put masking tape on the fins so you won't be able to see the cardboard texture throughout the paper mache and paint. And this is how the shark looks so far with the skeleton and the masking tape part done. The zebra shark has these lines all the way from the head to the tail that pops a bit out. So here you can see that I've made that out of very thin cardboard stripes. Just so the cardboard stripes doesn't pop too much out, I'm covering it with masking tape so it blends a bit more in. And this is just the result again, just with the lines. Now we've come to the paper mache part, and a lot of people have asked how I make my paper mache and what I use, because there are a lot of ways to make it, but I just mix some hobby glue with water and use some tissues from a restaurant or a cafe or something like that. And then I just tear my tissues into little pieces to make it easier to work with, and then I just put it on the shark with the paper mache using a paintbrush. And then you just basically need to cover the whole shark in paper mache. And this is now the finished result before painting on it, and it's really important to make sure that it's completely dry before you start painting on it. When it's completely dry, you can begin the painting process by mixing this cream, yellow, white-ish color as the base, and just cover the whole shark except the bottom in this color. When you've covered the shark, you can add on the shading with the same color but in a bit darker shade plus some more brown. And to blend it a bit more, mix it with the color you use for the base. You want to add the shading where you want to show more dimension in the shark. As an example, you want it to be more visible where we made the lines pop out earlier, so you need to add some shading to both sides of the line. It's also important to add shading on all of the fins to make it look as realistic as possible. Now when you finish the shading on the top of the shark, you'll need to start painting the bottom of the shark with a completely white color, because zebra sharks and many other sharks are white on the bottom. If you want to, you can also add another layer of white when it's all dry to make it look a bit better. When the top is completely dry, you can start painting the pattern, and because we're working with two shades, I usually start by painting everything I need with the first shade, and then afterwards move on to the next shade after that. It's also important to remember that the dots get a bit smaller the closer you get to the ends, such as the head, the tail, and the fins. You'll probably want to set some time off to do this, because it'll probably take some time. When you've covered the top of the shark in these dots, you'll need to get a darker shade of the same color and make these smaller dots or round-ish shapes all around the lighter dots to get this leopard pattern look. And you'll just have to continue this process till you're done. And now you have yourself a homemade cardboard and paper mache zebra shark.